Hello, this is Jess with Her Mood Mentor, and today I'm meeting with one of my Integrative Menstrual Health Coaching clients, Gabrielle. We've been working together for around 4 months, and today she is coming to share her story around PMDD and raise a little bit of hope for all of you out there who are suffering from severe premenstrual symptoms. Hi, Gabrielle.
Hi. Hello.
Thank you for chatting with me today.
Of course, yeah. It's all part of the process.
It is, yes. So I would love to kind of just dig straight in and hear a little bit about your experience with PMDD and what was happening before we met.
Okay. Well, before we met, I would cycle through. Some months would be better than others, but overall, usually anywhere from a week to 2 weeks before my cycle, sometimes into my cycle, a couple days, I would feel a lot of rage, extreme exhaustion, desire for self-harm, suicidal ideation, difficulty sleeping, insomnia, and an exasperation of my sleep terrors that I already have, problems wanting to do anything, communication, all of it. I just felt like I feel like I become a completely different person. So that was going on. And it still does sometimes, but it is better. And I know what to do to make it better.
So what was kind of the turning point? Obviously, you had sought out help from many providers before we met, but what was kind of what led you to reaching out to work with an integrative practitioner like myself?
So I would say in March, this whole year has been extra rough, like with my PMDD, but in March, I had one of maybe my worst months ever. And it led to me really kind of re-examining what I can do to help myself on a different level. I was about to lose my relationship. I was about to lose which would lead to me having to find a new place to live. I felt like I wasn't really even able to function in my own healing practice that I run. And so at that point I began like really researching what the hell is this thing PMDD, and made another appointment with my doctor, and then started to realize like, yeah, I like what you're saying in some ways, but I need to find something else. So I don't know if my iPhone was listening to me, but it probably was. And so on Instagram, I came across you. And your vibe was just chill enough, and I was pretty desperate, and so I just reached out. And from that day, I feel like it's almost like a little like anchor, like, oh, okay, I'm doing something to help myself. So I decided to take your course and sign up for coaching, because I was able to financially, and because I knew that it was a dire situation. I was not feeling safe in myself. I needed to do something that was gonna, I don't know, get me on right track.
Yeah. And I mean, you're saying up to 2 weeks, you're dealing with these severe symptoms. I mean, that's half of your life. That's
half of my life.
Too long, and for it to be so debilitating that it is threatening your relationship, threatening your
business,
your business, right? Your passion.
And just kind of tearing everything away that I love about myself. I feel like I would be in touch with who I really am, like outside. Like I was seeing this, I could see her, but I couldn't get to her. I couldn't be her. It's like not being able to access your own gifts and your own what you're supposed to be doing in life for half of the time, having to plan your entire life around well, oh, I'm going to be possibly in PMDD. So actually, I have to change my trip date. Or that's a really bad time to go to somebody's wedding. Or, you know,
Mm,
that's very limiting. It's
mm,
limiting
mm. Yeah, and
and
that
scary. It's scary.
absolutely. Yeah, when you feel like two different people and yeah, I love that analogy of just kind of like this dual, which is mood disorder, right? You feel like one person one day, you feel like another person the next day, and we all experience that, right? That's not inherently a pathology, but when it's so severe that like the other version is completely sabotaging.
Yeah, cyclically, like
Mhm.
destroying my life.
Mm,
And the person that would do that, the other part of me, you know, the extremely high progesterone part of me would actually take sometimes evil delight in it. I have to be
mm,
honest. Like there would be this like almost destroyer energy that felt, I think another part of me felt so disempowered
mm,
that like the anger and the rage and the destruction led me to be like, well, this is what I can have then. And it like fed it. And
mhm,
that's really it's not a good place to be. It's
mm.
deranged.
Well, yeah, and a lot of the work that we did together was about integrating those two parts, right, through specific protocols that were going to work best for you. But can you tell us a little bit about, what changed for you as you went through the coaching process? What in the course, what you're doing differently, how your life looks different as a result of the things that you've put into place?
Well, I think every aspect of my self-care routine has been, I should say, like revitalized, and that I'm not always the best at keeping on it, and I see the effects of that. But my diet has changed, my food prep and prepare, like making sure, okay, I know what day I'm in, and I know that generally I start to lose energy at this point. So I should probably go to the store and get some things to prepare, like some soups, and like plan my meals so that I'm not left like, what the hell am I going to do? Oh, I'll just stop on the way home and pick up some tacos, which
Mm,
isn't a bad thing sometimes. But, when you're doing that through your entire luteal phase, it's going to affect the next cycle too.
mm,
It's going to affect your exhaustion. It's going to affect you. So the food, getting moving, really this month we've been talking about the sleep routine, which is extraordinarily challenging for me, but I'm trying really hard to stick with it.
mm,
And I know that it's going to get easier and my body's going to get used to that shift. I believe
mhm,
that. Um, and just sort of coming up with different tools, some of the very simple breathing techniques. Even though I study breath work, like sometimes coming from someone else, a reminder, it's it works in a way that it doesn't when I'm trying to do it for myself. So
mm,
that's what I think having a coach has done for me. Working with you has been like, okay, well, it's accountability. There's
mm,
accountability in every aspect of my life that I didn't have, because I set goals with someone else outside of
mm,
myself,
mhm,
who's like kind of waiting for me to report back and tell her, well, this is how it worked, or this is how it didn't work. And I didn't do my homework and I'm suffering because of it.
mm,
But when I
mm,
do my homework and when I do the things I say I'm going to do, I notice a shift. It's not always extreme, it's a slow process. It's a process. It's not a it's There's no like pill or gift that I'm going to get one day that's going to just make me a different person,
mm,
and take this away. But it's it's the daily grind of doing the things that I
mm,
know that are going to help.
mm. And how has it helped? Like, what impact has it had on your quality of life, your relationships, your work? How is it playing out in your symptom presentation?
So there's been an attitude shift about, like, first and foremost, there's been an attitude shift, which has been like, okay, even if the symptoms are still presenting themselves, when they do, I'm not going to say to myself, I'm not going to, like, the thoughts have changed.
Mm,
I'm gonna have a more I tend to have a more positive attitude. The knowledge of what's going on with me, going down to like the chemicals and the hormones and really studying that, that knowledge has provided me a lot of insight that I can kind of go back to and not use as an excuse, but as an explanation of
mm,
like, oh, my brain is suffering the loss of estrogen right now. That is what's happening to my brain. And it's
mhm,
hard.
mhm,
It's hard.
mm,
So that, and then, I have more energy, I have more drive to do the things I know I need to do. Um, my rage, the symptoms for me that are the biggest have been rage, exhaustion, and insomnia. After I've been tracking a while, those are my symptoms, and those have significantly lowered in ways that I was surprised when I'm on it.
mm,
Um, let's see. And I also I feel like I've come up with tools now that I can catch myself, like somatic tools that I can go towards when I know I'm like, oh, okay, the fire breathing dragon has arrived and she wants to burn shit down. And I know that she's there now. I'm not 100% outside of her
mm,
because I've been studying her. I've been investing my time in getting to know her.
mhm,
So in a way, I think that that has really helped my ability to control her.
mm,
Step aside, slow down, slow everything down, step aside, and just, if you want to blow fire, okay, but maybe not in this situation. Maybe just
mm,
like blow fire in a different way.
mhm.
I guess I'm just learning. I'm learning. And that in itself has improved my life significantly.
Yeah, I love that. I love the integration of this other side of yourself. I love the recognition that you're not fundamentally flawed as an individual, right? This is a chemical shift that's relating to and having an impact on your mood. But there are little things that you can do to change that. And while it's not a quick fix or it's not a cure, right? It matters and it's changing your experience. And there's so many facets of this, right? Mindset, all the little nutrition, stress, sleep, movement, all of those core areas that we work in. But ultimately, you know, your quality of life is improving, and that's what it's about. It's not about disappearing the symptoms. We want the symptoms to be there so that you can do something.
Right, right. Sixth vital sign, is that what you said? That's
The
what they
the
say?
fifth, yeah, the fifth
Fifth,
vital
fifth,
sign.
fifth, fifth vital sign. That has made me, that's, yeah, you know, it's interesting. When I was younger, I used to love my menstrual cycle.
Mm,
The idea that I used to love, like, I get to bleed, like, I get to do this. And as I've aged, as I've gotten older, they've gotten worse,
mhm,
like it's been harder and harder. And I think that's just part of, I'm 42 years old. Like my hormones are changing. And I think it's exacerbated that. And
mm,
certain stresses have changed. But yeah, just learning these things has kind of started to switch my attitude back to what it used to be, which is like, oh, okay, I get to have this thing that shows me how I'm doing.
mhm,
And while that means that maybe I'm a really highly sensitive person, so the world is hard on highly sensitive people.
mhm,
And so our menstrual cycle can really show us a lot about what changes we need to make it easier to live in this
mm.
crazy world
Mhm.
that we live in.
And that's such a beautiful place to end up after all that you've gone through, that acceptance, that kindness that you're offering towards yourself and your experience, and reclaiming of menstruation in general, right? The victimization and hate and fear that can come with PMDD, which is just natural, right? Working to change that can change your experience, as you are sharing and have seen. So what would you like other people, who are in the throes and feeling hopeless with this disorder or other severe premenstrual symptoms, due to hormone imbalances and such? What do you want them to know about PMDD and what is possible for them in that place?
Well, it's hard to say what's possible for people that I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
I will say that for me, I have gone from actually emailing my doctor and asking for a complete hysterectomy, including my ovaries, because I was like, just take it out of me. This is destroying my life, to um to a place of acceptance. And I think it's not gonna fully go away. And people need to let go of that dream. Your symptoms can go down significantly and life can get easier, but it's not something you do once and it's gonna just like, cool, solve my problem. This is a practice. It is a practice. It is an ongoing process of loving yourself, loving yourself through like wanting to die, moments of wanting to die,
Mm-hmm.
and how can you access, it's like setting up little reminders. How can you access that there's always a shred of yourself that wants to survive. And so you're going to have more and more access to that part. It's going to grow the more effort you put in, effort and time of taking care of yourself on very core basic levels,
Mm-hmm.
listening to your body, listening to your needs, like making space for yourself in your life, and stop trying to make everybody else important when number one, you are. And I think that that's what I'm learning still. It's far from perfect. It's hard sometimes, but I'm learning that I need to prioritize me. I need to prioritize what am I feeding myself? How am I taking myself on a walk? How am I taking myself to bed? What types of stimulation am I feeding myself? Not just food, but like
Mm-hmm.
what kinds of relationships am I allowing in my life? How am I allowing myself to be treated? All of these things make a huge difference in our symptoms of PMDD.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a holistic situation. There's no easy route, unfortunately. I so wish there was, but there just isn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, accepting that it's going to be hard work and that I have to learn to parent myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget and I have to do it again and again. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I wasn't a good parent and it's showing.
Mm. Yeah, you
What
got
do I
your
do with
report
my
card.
special child? What do I do with her?
Mm-hmm.
What does she need?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I don't know if that provides hope, but I hope it does. I know it's a lot of work, but it's going to take work.
It's empowering though to be able to change your experience when you're going to a pharmaceutical company or a physician and you're, demanding that they solve your problems or relying on them solely to solve your problems. That's giving the agency of your body away to someone else. And ultimately they can't do that, right? It's up to you. So there is a lot of silver linings, even though it requires work. You learn more about yourself. All these other areas of your life improve because you're focused on improving who you are and integrating all of those parts of yourself and making little changes that not only support your reproductive health, but your overall health, right? And so the kind of like snowball effect that can have, while it requires daily action, I think the payoff is much more gratifying and empowering than taking a pill. Not that taking a pill is bad.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, you're working for something and you're getting it. So like the payoff in my experience is just so much deeper.
Regarding pills, I do want to say I have fluoxetine in my cabinet, but I don't take it anymore.
Mm.
I have taken it in the past, and it helped me through an extraordinarily hard time. It also came with some other symptoms that I didn't like in myself. My hair started thinning. I started to not want to have sex. It was harder for me to orgasm when I did have sex. And my creative surges that I really value and actually come during my menstruation a lot. It was just kind of like everything got real baseline, and I wasn't thriving. I was surviving. I was surviving, but I was not thriving. And so, but when it got really bad for a few months ago, I went back to my doctor. I got a new prescription, and I have it in my cabinet in case. And something about knowing it's there has been helpful for me, even though I don't take it right now. I just know that I can. And if it's a placebo, it's a placebo. But maybe if I get to that place again, I know that I have something there that like I can try that has helped in the past in some ways to keep me alive.
Absolutely. Yeah, using it as a tool. And it can be so helpful for that, even just to get your head above water, right? When you're in that place, in order to, because making behavior change is difficult. If you can't even get out of bed, how are you going to make behavior change, right? So there is like a huge benefit to using both allopathic and integrative protocols, right? Taking a combined approach often is the most effective. And that's why I love integrative medicine so much, because it incorporates allopathic medicine, but allopathic medicine doesn't so much incorporate integrative medicine, but that is changing more and more. So that's exciting. But yeah, I love that, Gabrielle, that you have that there for you if you need it, but also you haven't needed it. It's kind of like a safety blanket, and just another tool in your toolbox.
Need a lot of tools.
You do. Yes.
You're not going to use them all at the same time because you don't need them all at the same time, but it's nice to have a lot of different tools as options.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think like practicing those tools, right? Not just leaving those tools by the wayside and forgetting how to use them, right? Just like anything else, it's a practice. You need to use that in order to be able to reach for it effectively in the right moment, right? It's all about, we talk so much about this in coaching in the course, like it's all about reaching for the right tool at the right time, but also it not being your first time that you're using that tool, because it's not going to help you in the moment if you don't know how to use it effectively. So, well, any last things you want to share for the PMDD community before we wrap up this chat?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't listen to the voices that tell you to do crazy shit. I know that maybe I shouldn't be cursing. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But there's always some sort of light. There is always, and you have to seek it. You have to hunt it. You must hunt the light.
Oh, I love that.
We need you all here.
It's true. Yeah. And there's hope to change your experience. 100%. All right. Well, thank you, Gabrielle. Thanks for sharing your story and raising hope for others. And I'll be seeing you soon.
Okay.